Greetings. I welcome you all to RFI Digital Channel's program World Focus. Once again, the horrible face of India is exposed. India claims to be the largest democracy in the world, yet, with despotism and coercion, it imposes its ideology of Hindutwa on other nations. Just after the partition, India began to exercise its policy of extremism, the illegal occupation of Kashmir, and thereafter the genocide of Muslims to retain this occupation continues to date. According to a recent report by Hindutwa Watch, a Washington based group that monitors attacks and hate crimes against minorities in India, the ruling BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, and its affiliated groups are responsible for most of the incidents of hate speeches against Muslims in India. The report includes 255 such cases where Muslims were targeted with hate speech, and nearly 80% of those incidents occurred in such Indian states or regions where Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP is ruling. The hatred of Indian leaders is not limited to Muslims, but the Sikh community has also been a victim of Hindutva for decades now. The Golden Temple incident of June 1984 is one example. This incident made the Sikh community realize the fact that it was not possible for them to live in India peacefully. The extremist Hindu leaders can become ferocious at any time, and there remains a possibility of recurrence of a Golden Temple-like incident yet again. So they organized a movement against the usurp of India and gained international attention. However, the larger Indian market was more lucrative to the powerful countries back then, who chose to rather ignore such inhuman actions of India. India carries ill intentions not only towards the non-Hindus living in their country, but has also been actively involved in conducting attacks and organizing terrorist networks in neighboring countries. We all remember Kulbhushan Jadhav. India had been running a network of suicide attacks and terrorism in Pakistan through him, and it can go to any levels to fulfill its illegitimate goals. In addition to the Muslims and Sikh communities, even Christians are not safe in India from this Hindu jingoism. The community has been targeted and massacred in the Indian state of Manipur for a couple of months now, and this is all happening at the behest of the central government of BJP. It is important to note that BJP is also responsible for spreading hatred against Muslims in India. In response to brutal treatment with Christian women, the Christian tribe Kuki staged a peaceful protest in the state of Manipur, which the extremist Hindus tried to suppress at all costs under the patronage of the state. Christian people were killed and churches were set ablaze. The attitude of Indian government towards the non-Hindu communities living in India is also very biased. Initially, Sikh people were considered to be very strong since their ratio in military services was larger relative to their population. However, after the assassination of Indira Gandhi, which was a consequence of what had happened in the Golden Temple incident, Sikh community became suspicious to them. The community then opened up and started expressing their concerns against India. Not only did they consolidate the Khalistan movement, but also expanded this cause internationally, and Hardeep Singh played a central role in organizing Sikh people globally. Their community living in Australia, Britain, Germany, France, and in other Western countries started a series of referendums in favor of the creation of Khalistan. This further united Sikh people living in various parts of the world for a cause, and the movement was propagated globally. Through these referendums, people's point of view in favor of Khalistan movement started surfacing and was hugely debated, something which was not in favor of India. Hardeep Singh moved from India to Canada in 1990 and became a Canadian citizen in 2015. After becoming the leader of Sikhs for Justice, the Indian government made several false cases against him. In 2018, the Indian government submitted a list of most wanted people to the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and Hardeep's name was included in the list. The Canadian government arrested him but released within 24 hours after a general inquiry. In 2020, Hardeep Singh was designated as a terrorist by the Indian government, accusing him of illegal activities and charged him of killing a Hindu priest, later proved to be only a false accusation. The Indian government, however, confiscated all his assets despite the fact that he was not even proved guilty. In the beginning of 2022, Canadian intelligence had warned Hardeep Singh of the plot of his assassination. However, he did not retreat an inch from the Khalistan movement, and on June 18, 2023, two masked men killed him in the car parking of a Gurdwara in British Columbia. Prime Minister Trudeau said that killing Hardeep Singh in Canada is tantamount to interference in Canada's national security matter, which is intolerable. The Canadian authorities did not arrest anyone in this murder, and upon completion of the investigation, the report was presented to Prime Minister Trudeau. Trudeau, on the sidelines of G20 summit, also discussed the matter of Hardeep's murder with his Indian counterpart and informed him of the presence of solid evidences linking the murder to the Indian diplomat Pawan Kumar Rai. Rai is the person who led the Canadian branch of India's Research and Analysis Wing, RAW. On 19 September, Prime Minister Trudeau, while addressing the Canadian Parliament, categorically linked the involvement of the Indian diplomat to Hardeep's murder.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the Government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Najar. Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty.
And Canada's Foreign Minister Melanie Joly ordered expulsion of this Indian diplomat. Modi government, as a response to it, also ordered expulsion of Canadian diplomat from India. It does not end here. 3 days following the Trudeau's statement, another leader of the Khalistan movement, Sukhdev Singh, was also killed by unknown people in the city of Winnipeg, Canada. According to Indian media, the name of Sukhdev Singh was included in the list of wanted people by the Indian government. After the murder of Hardeep Singh, the assassination of Sukhdev Singh further discredited the Indian government internationally. It is important to note here that 3 days prior to the murder of Hardeep Singh on 15th June, another Sikh leader, Avtar Singh Kanda, was also killed mysteriously in a hospital in Birmingham, UK. And the Sikh community living in Britain expressed serious concerns and held the Indian government responsible for the incident. British government, however, refrained from conducting any serious investigation at that time. Today, however, the international community is taking Canadian Prime Minister's allegations seriously. Canadian government revealed Hindutwa of the Indian rulers and presented all the facts to the world. exposing the horrendous face of India. Consequently, the Five Eyes intelligence alliance, consisting of the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, in addition to Canada, has backed Canada's allegations against India and supported Canada's demand for an investigation into Hardeep's murder case. Canadian Prime Minister informed American and British authorities about the Indian mischief, and as a response, Andreen Watson, White House spokesperson, said that it is very important for the investigation to take place and bring the criminals to justice. So far, the Indian leadership has only worsened the situation further. India claims that the allegations of Trudeau are driving a wedge between Canada and the US. The US, however, refuted such reports, and the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan gave an immediate response saying that the US shares Canada's deep concerns and denied any suggestion of a wedge between the two countries.
As soon as we heard from the Canadian Prime Minister publicly about the allegations, we went out publicly ourselves and expressed our deep concern about them, our support for a law enforcement process to get to the bottom of exactly what happened and to ensure that the perpetrators are held accountable. I'm not going to get into the substance of private diplomatic conversations, but we are in constant contact with our Canadian counterparts. We are consulting with them closely. We support the efforts that they are undertaking in this investigation, and we have also been in touch with the Indian government as well. And I will leave it at that for today, only to say that I have seen in the press some efforts to try to drive a wedge between the United States and Canada on this issue. And I firmly reject the idea that there is a wedge between the US and Canada. We have deep concerns about the allegations, and we would like to see this investigation carried forward.
Indian retired soldiers added fuel to the fire and threatened that even the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau can be killed.
जस्टिन ट्रूडो ने भंड तो मार दी, उसको ये एहसास नहीं था जस्टिन ट्रूडो को कि जो कर रहा है इसके नताइज क्या होंगे.
Additionally, he also intimidated Canada of a possibility of a nuclear attack. These circumstances reveal India's ambitions behind development of an intercontinental ballistic missile (ICBM). Since Agni 3, which is an intermediate range ballistic missile, has a range of up to 5,000 kilometers, enough to target Pakistan and China. The development of an ICBM shows that India's target includes Western countries as well. On these threatening statements and the irresponsibility of the Indian government, the US and Western countries turned their inclination towards Canada. This sent a clear message to India that there is no option but to cooperate in the transparent inquiry of the murder. Amid the international pressure, especially the United States' reiteration for investigation into Hardeep's murder, India has agreed to cooperate with Canada over the investigation of Sikh leader's murder. India's External Affairs Minister, Jaishankar, while addressing the Council on Foreign Relations, said that India is open to looking into any specific or relevant information on the killing of Sikh leader. He further added that they had made it clear to the Canadian government that India had no policy of extrajudicial killings, yet the country is open to look for any relevant information provided and will conduct the inquiry. The initial investigation includes names of 3 important figures of India, whereas the American media reports that 6 people may be involved in the murder of Hardeep Singh. The United States is in touch with Canada on this matter. The British government's spokesperson has also said that Canadian Prime Minister's allegations are quite serious and the government is corresponding to him over this issue. Australian Foreign Minister has also conveyed her concerns to India on higher level. This is the time now for powerful countries of the world to prove their loyalty towards establishing world peace and deal with the Indian extremism. so that the world and especially South Asia can stay peaceful. This is all for today's session. I hope this will help the viewers to comprehend and make sense of the rising tensions between India and Canada. See you all in the next program. Until then, goodbye.